Hi y'all. I wanted to discuss something with y'all that has been brought up a few times at some of the chats I've attended, and I tried to do a video on this once before already. I filmed one, and I basically melted into a puddle on my front porch trying to do it because it was so hot outside. And when I got in and looked at it, I had rivulets of mascara and other stuff running down my face. And I'm like, no, we'll retry this. So anyway, a lot of people, several people have asked about canning on a turkey fryer or other propane type stoves outside. And a lot of people are unsure about that, and I wanted to kind of go over some of the information I found out about it when I started using a camp stove. So first of all, you need to know BTUs. That's going to be your important factor in this. And a BTU, it stands for a British Thermal Unit. It's a measurement of energy. So it's the amount of energy required to raise the temperature of 1 pound of water by 1 degree Fahrenheit. Okay? The thing you run into with the turkey fryer bases is they tend to have very high BTUs. So high, in fact, that they can warp the bottom of your canner. They can even get so hot that the metal will fuse together. Okay? Not experienced this myself. I'm going from things that I've read. So excuse me. One of the things about canning is the heating up and the cooling down time is factored into the processing of whatever you're canning. So it makes a big difference. Some of these propane stoves or burners outdoors can get too hot too quickly. So if it heats up too quickly, whatever you're trying to process in there could be under processed. So it kind of defeats the purpose. I'm not saying for people, because I'm sure there's plenty of people out there who use turkey fryer bases as for canning, and I'm not saying don't do this. Okay, I'm saying do your homework. One of the things that I found when researching into this, before I even bought a camp stove, was that if you keep it to a certain amount, I've got a master built camp stove. For those of you who have watched me do my water bath canning, I bought it at Tractor Supply. I've got the model number written down over here. Let's see, it's a model 2000-020413. Tractor Supply doesn't carry it anymore, but the BTUs on it, the maximum BTUs on it are 10,000. I called and verified this with the manufacturer. Okay. If you're wanting to go the route of canning outdoors on a propane burner, it is recommended that you not go higher than 15,000 BTUs. The turkey fryer bases, I'm going to insert the picture of one in here. That one was rated at 55,000 BTUs. That's too high. I know from experience of using, before I bought my camp stove, I was using my turkey fryer base to water bath can on. I have never tried to use my pressure canner out on either one, camp stove or turkey fryer base. It works fine on my stove. I'm good with that. When I was using the turkey fryer base to water bath can, it got so hot I would get the whole bottom of the canner would be covered in black soot, and it would be all up the sides. I would have to clean the canner outside. You couldn't touch it without getting this black sooty material all over you. And that was another reason why I started looking into this, because I thought this cannot be good. It can't be. It's not supposed to do this. So the more I looked into it, you're going to get conflicting sources. A lot of people say that Presto, there's a lot of things out there, conflicting things about what Presto and Miro canners say about it. I couldn't find anything on All American. But I've heard that Presto has a big warning against them to use them for canning. Turkey Fire bases at using their canner, pressure canner. I've also seen that they say that it's okay that if you use it over a heat source not over 12,000 BTUs, so it doesn't warp the canner. Some say Presto may have an insert saying not to use it on any outdoor burner. So there's just a lot of conflicting things out there as to whether or not to use whatever particular canner you have on an outdoor type source, canning source. So a lady at a forum that I frequent had some information about this, and I trust her as an experienced canner. A lot of people there look for her advice on stuff. And what she came up with is, I'm just going to read this out to y'all. While using a propane stove or burner for boiling water bath canners may not be as challenging as using a pressure canner on one, there's still some things to consider. First is the size of the propane burner. Is it large enough in diameter to support the canner, and is it sturdy enough? And at this point, I'm going to stop reading her stuff and point out something. For those of you who are thinking about trying to use one of those little side burners on a grill, for like they have on there for like sauteing or sauce pots or whatever, look very, very carefully at that and see if it has a weight maximum on it. My husband was wanting to get a grill with one of those on it, and he thought, you can do your canning on this. And I looked at the weight max on it, and it was like 20 pounds maybe. So my All-American alone, I've got the 921, weighs 25 pounds by itself with nothing in it. So imagine how much that sucker weighs if you've got your water in there and your full jars, and I can double stack pints in that, so that's even more weight. We're probably talking 50 plus pounds right there. So that was completely out of the question. So take that into consideration if you're thinking about using one of those propane burners on the side of a grill. That water bath canner or your pressure canner could weigh a whole lot more than it's able to support, and I would hate for somebody to put that kind of weight on there and have it go crashing to the ground and lose all your work and then have to clean up the mess. Okay, so size of the propane burner matters. Okay, it needs to be powerful enough to bring a large pot of water filled with jars to a boil and maintain the boil for the entire processing time. Okay, you'll need to consider the wind, and if you had a way to protect the flame from going out, which my camp stove does. Also, you've got to take into consideration the wind and cooler air temperature may cause jars to break as a result of rapid temperature change. Okay, it's necessary to have a way to adjust the flame in a safe manner. You want to have your hose with a regulator away from the flame. My camp stove has dials like an oven. The front of a stove top does, so I can adjust my flame, and I can adjust it a whole lot better than I could on the turkey fryer base. If you desire to pressure can, the recommendation is not to use any with a BTU higher than 15,000 BTUs. Otherwise, the canner can warp from the intense heat. Also, it will heat up the canner too fast, causing the processing time to be inaccurate. The time it takes the pressure canner to heat up and cool down is part of the safe processing time and factored into the processing times, as I said earlier before. She just touched on that as well. So anyway, that's she says, at this time, our recommendation is to do so at your own risk or any outdoor type cooker or burner. So, and that's my suggestion to you too. Do so at your own risk. Do your research, and I'm not saying to anybody who's already using a turkey fryer base to can on. I'm not telling you not to do it. I'm not telling you that you're wrong. I'm not saying that in any way, shape, or form. I'm just, for those who are out there looking for the information and wondering if it was safe to do, if they want to go to the expense to buy a camp stove or attempt to do this, do your research. I'm going to put a link below in the description box to a webpage I found that also touches on this. She also touches on whether or not to, about canning on what type of stovetops, which that's a whole nother can of worms, and I'm not gonna get into that. So I wanted to give this information to y'all who have asked about it and we're looking into it. That camp stoves, as long as they're 10,000 to 15,000 BTUs, are supposedly safe for pressure canning. I'm fine with water bath canning on one. So there you go. There's the information. Do what you will, and do your own research on it too. So I hope this has helped answer some of your questions. I hope you found it informative. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. I will answer you as soon as I possibly can. I appreciate you watching, and good luck and happy canning.